Hi there, it's Peter and welcome to this brand new video on my channel. Today I'm building another tropical house in The Sims 4. It's called the Industrial Island Villa, which sort of describes exactly what the build will look like. And I'm very excited to be back building another house in The Sims 4. I'm using quite some cool new objects in this house, or at least they're new for me. Some of them came with expansion packs, which are by now maybe even a couple of years old already. But I really try to sort of broaden my horizon and use some different items this time to create some interesting architectural villa on this secluded island in the world of Sulani, which comes with the expansion pack Island Living, which I think is still one of my favorite expansion packs for The Sims 4, mainly because of the world which it provides. And already by now you see one of the reasons the house is called the Industrial Island Villa. That's because of the very clearly visible steel beams which I'm using in the house. The idea I had was that this is, although it might look sort of fancy, sort of still low-key to build, simply providing or building it with some easy objects which might be available on an island. Steel beams might not be the most easy objects to be available on an island, but the idea was that, they might need them for a factory somewhere else on the island, or just some large warehouse or anything. And adjusted on the beams they have, they decided to build this house. So it's not really custom made, but they just try to go with the flow, go with the items they had available, and then build this really cool villa using these items. That's what's going on with the beams, or at least a little story that I came up with regards to the beams. Anyways, like I mentioned, it's been quite some time since my last video. I might need to explain a little bit about that. But besides, something else to explain is that the format for the videos has changed a little bit. I'm saying a little bit because it truly is a little bit. There's still speed builds. I'm still building a full house in one video. At the end there's a cool overview with some music, but I noticed, and that's also one of the reasons that there was a kind of a lack of videos, that I found it increasingly hard to create good commentary videos during my speed builds, especially as the videos got longer. Many of my speed builds by now are about 25 to 30 minutes, which really is a long time to talk just to a microphone about one build. So I realized that sort of created a burden for me to get over to start making the videos. Building the house was not really the problem, although it does cost a lot of time. So that's sort of the point 2 I'm going towards later on in this explanation. But for now, I did notice that it might be a better idea to sort of do the voiceover as long as I want and then just fill the rest of the video up with music. I was thinking maybe I just shouldn't do commentary because it is still sometimes kind of hard to do so. However, I do feel like an explanation during the video is very useful. I also really like sort of still talking to you, but I did feel like having the knowledge of starting and knowing that you have to talk for 30 minutes straight about a house, that it's sort of hard. So I decided, I'm just going to do a commentary based on how long I think is suitable, sort of also to explain the concept of the house, to explain how I build it, to just explain generally maybe what's going on in the world of the Sims, my opinion on new packs coming out, etc. So the video will just start like this with a commentary, but at some point I'll just tune out with the commentary and put in music. And I feel like maybe every now and then there will be a video which is just really me talking throughout the whole speed build. Sometimes there might be a video where the commentary is really a little bit shorter, but I feel like this sort of will increase the quality of the videos because the voiceover that there is will be better, because it's not just a really long rambling video of me just talking just to fill up the time. It's really me talking to sort of explain something, have a little talk with you, and then afterwards you can enjoy watching me build the rest of the house, or maybe just really skip towards the overview if that's what you're into. And don't forget that still it's of course possible to download my houses, so be sure to check it out if you want to download this house. It's on the gallery. Look for gallery ID Dutch Sims Master, and then you should be able to find this house and very many of my other builds in the Sims 4 gallery. And besides, when you're there, please let me know in the comments what you think of this idea, and also what it is about the videos that you like, what it is specifically that you like about my videos, because this is something I've been thinking about for quite some time. I must admit that time issues were also one of the reasons that there weren't very many videos, because I'm currently doing an internship at an architecture firm, which means that I'm kind of busy with that, and besides I'm really also trying to catch up with friends for as far as I can during these Corona COVID times. But yeah, generally life has really just changed a lot, and that also meant that I'm still trying to sort of figure out how the YouTube channel fits in with this. Also, I'm noticing that I sort of really, because of my studies as an architecture student, have really changed the way I approach architecture, and especially building houses like these, because I really am focusing more on indeed the idea of sustainability maybe, or reusing items, which is sort of not possible in The Sims. Besides, I'm thinking more of sort of view lines or sidelines, or cool concepts, or thinking about routing around a house, which might not necessarily be the thing with this house. But yeah, it's sort of has become more complex, which might not be interesting for like sort of the general Sims viewer, and especially with the SketchUp videos, although I really like to make them, and I feel like very many people came to my channel to watch those as well, and they could be sort of maybe even a success on my channel. I find it really hard to just go and start create a SketchUp house now, because nowadays I'm sort of working on buildings that are actually going to be built, or at least buildings which need to be functioning properly, sort of. So have a proper concept, have materials which sort of work and which are logical to use, etc., in locations which are real, which you can perhaps even visit. So it has made it a lot more complex for me to just do a standard conceptual design in SketchUp, because normally I'll create a concept design in 6 hours, and I'll just do something purely based on what looks good. But nowadays I would not just be able to sort of play with SketchUp as if it's clay like I used to, simply because I would think, okay, what kind of room fits behind it? How is it being connected? Can you get up into the space? Does it have a balcony, opening windows, anything like that? So it really has made it more complex. That means that The Sims is still sort of easier for me, because there's a set number of objects. Some things you obviously don't have to think about, but I also feel like if I would create such a simple SketchUp video right now like I used to, it would sort of be not logical, because I mean I'm supposed to be one of the people who knows what he's doing, and then I'm just creating a video doodling, sort of creating a simple concept, and I feel like that's also not the message I should bring across. So if you have any idea, or could tell me what it is specifically you like about my SketchUp videos, I might be able to sort of professionalize it a little bit, and generally professionalize the channel a bit. Besides, I'm really just doing this for fun, sort of, and therefore I still want it to be fun. And once you get out of the routine of making the videos, it also becomes harder to get started with the videos again, and to you're just not as quick with editing and creating the houses and coming up with the ideas as I used to be. So just really being out of the routine also is one of the reasons that I'm making less videos, and I just don't want to sort of feel the pressure of having to make a video. I just want to make a video whenever I want to. So I've been working on this house for a couple of weeks, doing something every now and then on the weekends, and in that way I sort of put it together and had footage and had a full video, whereas I used to actually really have a planning of, okay, I'm making 2 let's builds and 1 speed build this week, and I had more time, and I really had that constant drive and sort of pressure of knowing that I had to make the videos, and I'm just doing it whenever I like, which means that there's less videos, but yeah, I hope, there's unfortunately not that much to do about it. But still, hearing your feedback is really the main trigger for me to make the videos again, and whenever I upload a video, I constantly get that that hype sort of like I used to do, knowing that you actually watch it, knowing that you enjoy it, getting feedback, likes from you, that really helps me out. So if you have any comments, have anything to say, maybe you've been watching the channel for a longer time already, and that's something I always find cool to see how they sort of got older together with me, and how they constantly kept watching the videos. That was really cool to hear. So if you've got any messages like that, feel free to put them in the comments section. Anyways, I should talk a little bit about the house as well, because like I mentioned, that's what this commentary mainly is for. So it's really on a secluded island. There's nothing around it. There's just a part beach and a part sort of forest with a lot of palm trees, and then there's water all around. And I really wanted to make this sort of an industrial house, large eaves as well, which are surrounded by these steel beams. And then there's one large roof which actually goes over the entire building. But since the climate of this location is so good, it's really okay to just go outside, to go from one room to another. It's actually really cool to do that. I can imagine to experience sort of the warm breeze, the warm sea breeze actually going through your hairs, going from, say, the kitchen to the living room. Also because a living room, knowing from my own experience, whenever I'm on vacation in a warm place, you actually never sit in the living room almost to watch TV, because that's, I can imagine, only on the days that it's the weather is not that good, but generally the weather is good, of course, and then you're having your living room outside, sort of, so you're sitting on like a beach bed near on the deck, or you're sitting at the bar, or you're sitting elsewhere on the table in the on the patio. So I can imagine that you just don't really need a large living room, which is the reason I made it small, and also sort of having to go outside from one room to another seemed to be sort of, yeah, a cool idea. Still, it's covered, so you know, whenever it rains, you still can get there dry, but you know, it's never going to be cold in these places. Maybe at night, but don't pin me on that. But yeah, that's sort of the idea. So the roof is sort of the connecting element, and then there's several masts in between. Besides, I wasn't done yet with the new cool foundation or platform tool which we got in The Sims by now already, I think a half a year ago. I made the Japanese mansion, which was my previous video, which personally I think was really cool. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. I actually made like the steps going up very gradually, which sort of makes this house sort of comparable to that one, because it immediately triggers to sort of make some kind of overhang, which I did here. But the overhang in this case is actually really sort of an overhang with the steel beams vertically, and then the roof and the horizontal beams, and then actually sort of a mast, which is the living room, hanging under it, which created sort of a cool cool architecture feature, because especially under there, you created a space which is actually outside, and which was kind of large, so I put a ping pong table there. You'll see it later on in the video. But that gradual approach from sort of the beach level onto the +1 level, which is actually sort of the place where you live, having the kitchen and the living room and the entrance area and also the pool, created sort of a cool element with just those steps going up, which I'm not sure I have to watch if I currently see it. Yeah, I believe I created that actually all the way in the beginning of the video already. As you can see, I sort of struggled with the materials, because when I started, it was sort of the gray bluish color for the steel vertical beams, but then I felt like that would be too gray. Then I tried to go a little bit more extreme, going with the red yellowish color, basically orange, for the beams, but that was sort of too industrial, too in the face, and also it would sort of not really fit the still kind of luxurious vibe that this house has. You know, that would work really well if it really was sort of an eco lifestyle build, but this is sort of a combination between eco lifestyle and luxury living, something like that. So we decided to go for white, but still having a contrast with the horizontal beams for the roofs, which are black or very dark gray, and then some white touches, and as the accent color having blue, which obviously with the ocean all around, actually worked really well for the color scheme. And then of course some wood, because that works nicely. And I really struggled with a wood pattern for the or texture for the flooring as well. I've tried very many things. You'll see a change throughout the video all the time because I just wasn't sure about it. But you know, trying all these textures, I could cut it out because it saves a lot of time. But I still want you to see that process because I'm really trying out a lot just to see what happens and what works well and what sort of creates the atmosphere which I like. And that's also the reason I'm not sort of making the video shorter, to make sure that I can have a commentary which is over the entire video, but instead I'm making a video which is sort of showing the full process, and then me talking is based on what I want. So yeah, I think this color scheme we're currently looking at is sort of the basic final color scheme that I went for. Also, a grid is very important in this build. You'll see, if you notice, you'll see that the vertical beams or pillars are actually, they're vertical pillars and then horizontal beams. I've probably said that wrong very many times during this video, but I only just realized. But the vertical elements, vertical pillars, are in a grid of 4 meters apart, sort of, going from, you'll just see that, or 4 meters, 4 squares in Sim style. And based on that, I actually put the rest of the masses in between. So there's really a clear structure, which I try to go or continue throughout the entire build, because that actually is what makes it sort of look nice and clear in the end. Because if you don't follow a clear grid with these kinds of builds, it will actually become a mess. But yeah, making it clear, you sort of have to get away from that grid every now and then, or at least for some aspects. So for the vertical pillars, the grid was very clear and I could not actually get away from it. But then with the masses inside, because I wanted them 1 square away, they couldn't be in sort of the 2-2 configuration. So I sort of had to step away from that grid, but then still within that other grid, stay within sort of the boundaries and what could work. And fun to mention is actually that at this moment, you're sort of looking at the finalized build. So the building itself is sort of done. Still have to do the landscaping, obviously, and adding some furniture outside as well. But outside, it's sort of done. But then while I was furnishing the house, later on, almost at the end of the video, you'll see, I stumbled upon a really cool object with sort of, it was sort of a grid again, but then a lot smaller. It was a facade element with very many moving items, or at least I could imagine that it would move with the ocean wind going through the build, and that could be sort of the finishing touch to make the build look more unique. So I added that as the facade element in the end, all the way in the end, which actually worked really well with the color scheme and sort of, I was like, okay, this is what really excites me about building in The Sims again, having all these items and sort of trying to create cool houses with it, because using those special items, which are often in the decorations tab sort of in the game, really allows you to create really cool builds and sort of special, almost artworks kind of things. Here I'm adding the ping pong table, which I mentioned previously. Then something else important to mention is that it's got 2 bedrooms, or important to mention. I can imagine people wanting to use this house to play in with their Sims might want to notice. So it's got 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a gym. You can turn that into anything, obviously, but it's got a cool view into the pool, which has become sort of standard by now, because, money doesn't play a role in The Sims, so you can do anything you want. And then having a pool which you can look into is obviously really cool. And a bar up front here, as you can imagine. So this sort of looks like my dream house. I've always said I'm not building my dream house in The Sims because it's just too hard. There's so many options. I would never know what kind of dream house I would want. If you would give me a location, I could perhaps make a dream house. In this case, this is sort of the style I like. Also the location I really like. So if I were to build in this location, this would probably come close to what I would build, but in that case, I would also think a little bit more about the program. So what do I actually want to have in my house? So it probably, I do actually have an indoor bar in this house, in the house. You'll see me build it later on. But that would be sort of an important aspect of the house. Perhaps maybe also an outdoor movie place, but you can perhaps do that on the ping pong area. So yeah, building a dream house is almost impossible because there's so many options. And here you see me create that staircase again, which I mentioned earlier in the video, which really creates a cool entrance into the house. Although you can also use other stairs. There's many ways to actually get up into the house in this build. So yeah, actually, I think I'm going to end the commentary here. Yeah, I really enjoyed creating this build, and I'm sort of happy with the find of actually not finishing the entire commentary just to fill up the time, but just to finish the commentary once I'm sort of done talking about the build. So for now, this is it. At the end of the video, there's obviously an overview of the house. If you find it useful, I might actually put some timestamps in the comments to say where I'm sort of ending the commentary and then also where I'm starting the overview of the house. But otherwise, you can just skip through the video if you were to only want to see the overview. And otherwise, of course, enjoy the rest of the build process of this house. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet, and also check out my channel because there's a ton of Sims 4 builds on there already. So if you haven't watched them yet, there's still a lot more to view. But anyways, thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you back later.